Greetings, chosen ones. All right, I have a lot of messages for today. This is just going to be a chosen one video. The message tonight is all about when God rocks your foundation, when God destroys your foundation. And yes, I'm saying when God does this, not Satan, because Satan gets a kick out of you living in your faulty foundation. You see, when you're living in your faulty foundation, that's when Satan can attack you the most. That's when he can keep adding to the faulty foundation. That's when he can keep fueling you, adding things. He can keep giving you things to fuel that faulty foundation. Satan doesn't want to see you leave the faulty foundation, so Satan will do things here and there to just kind of keep you going, morsel by morsel. Well, I guess I can stay in this situation a little longer. I guess I can stay in this marriage a little longer. I guess I can stay at this family situation longer. I guess that I can stay at this job a little longer. Meanwhile, your energy is being drained and drained and drained, deteriorated and deteriorated, and you're wondering, God, where are you? What's going on? Whereas when God comes in, you're going to know, because again, God will rock the foundation. Now, again, the devil's not going to bother you when you're living a dull life, when you're living in complacency, when you're living in sin. And I also just want to be clear here, because I know for me, when I used to think of sin, I used to think of all these like horrible bad things, and that's not true. Sin is actually when we deny God's gifts that he's given to us. And I'm going to get into that in tomorrow's daily devotional, which is going to talk about well, yeah, I'll get into that in tomorrow's daily devotional. So if you guys come back for that, then you can see that message. But whenever we live in fear, when we live in hiding, when we're living in complacency, we are living in sin. And when we are living in sin, then we are not abiding by God's divine purpose for us. We're not walking in our path. And the devil loves that. Satan wants to see that. Now, for a lot of people, I was hearing some channeled messages. Some people can feel like they're going through the dark night of the soul. They can feel like they're going through a long night. I was actually hearing the song London Bridge is Falling Down whenever I was walking the other night. And I was just hearing the tune. I was like, So someone can feel like, something is totally crumbling here in their life. I was also seeing the numbers 111 and 333, a lot of renditions of ones and threes, which makes a lot of sense for when I go into the next portion of the Bible verses. And I just want to make this plug as well that angel numbers are not demonic. In fact, a lot of the times, angel numbers that you see adhere to specific Bible verses that are what you need to hear. And so, for example, I'll see like 828, and then Romans 828 came through, and I'm going to talk about that in daily devotional a couple days from now. I have written probably like 10 pages of different daily things that all are stemmed from angel numbers that were coming through to me channeling, and they're actually Bible verses. So I just want to say on the next thing, don't be so quick to judge. And that's also going to be, Matthew 7, judge not lest you shall be judged. That is going to come through for another daily devotional. But continuing on with this one, I was also hearing David Bedingfield or something, the song, I Gotta Get Through This. So this message is for you, chosen ones. If there's something that you feel like you have to get through, if you feel like you can't see to the other side, if you feel like you've been going through a long night, a dark night, if you feel like your bridge is falling down, if you feel like something is crumbling in your life, if you feel like God has destroyed your foundation, then chosen ones, this is a beautiful moment for you, because this is when you are here to rejoice in this resurrection. So when God destroys your foundation, that is the title of this message. Now in Isaiah 13, 11 through 13, which again, renditions of ones and threes. So me saying ones and threes is not some demonic numerology thing. They're actually Bible verses. So again, I just want to really make that plug here, because so many people that say that they're followers of Christ will demonize the natural earth, like this crystal. This is of the earth. How are you going to demonize something that is of the earth? It doesn't make sense. And see, this is what Satan wants. Satan wants to put division. Satan wants to pull people from their family, from their culture. And, this goes on to a whole nother message that I wrote for another day, but I'm going to touch on it because it's relevant right now. You can have Christianity, and you can also keep your culture and your bloodline. You can be the Bruja that you are, and you can still honor Christ. You can honor your African hoodoo nature, and you can still honor Christ. I can offer my Hungarian tarot and card readings and psychic readings and still honor Christ, because prophet and psychic are actually the exact same definition if you really look them up. Just like there are people and prophets who do things for bad, there are also ones who do things for good. And so we cannot demonize and put blanket statements on things, because then we are succumbing to the devil, which is separation. The devil wants us to be separated. He wants to create division. And so I'm here to say and to share the word of God that that is not in alignment with the word of God. God does not want division. Christ never wanted division. He wanted healing. He wanted togetherness. But sometimes it takes destroying your faulty foundation to get you back on that track. So continuing into this, in Isaiah 13:11-13, he says, I will punish the world for its evil and for the wicked of their iniquity. I will put an end to the pomp of the arrogant, and I will lay low the pompous pride of the ruthless. He says, I will make people more rare than fine gold. I will make the heavens tremble, and earth will be shaken out of its place at the wrath of the Lord in the day of his fierce anger. And you see, anger is such a misunderstood emotion. We see so many things, oh, love and light, and that's not true. You know, Christianity it's a spiritual warfare. And so we have to be warriors, and warriors have to honor their sacred anger. And there's something here about honoring your sacred anger at this time, rather than bastardizing it, rather than, you know, pushing it to the side and saying that's wrong, because it's not wrong, but we need to find a way to transmute and shift that energy. Now, continuing on from that, we have Luke 21:25-28. He says, there will be signs in the sun, the moon, the stars on earth. And I'm sorry, but have we not seen this on earth? Have we not seen all the changes that are occurring? Have we not seen all the strange things that are going on in the sky? I'm not sure if people saw this, but you can look this up online. There was a shaking, a trembling of the earth that went from Alabama all the way down to the Gulf in Florida. And it was not anything military. It was not any sort of earthquake. There were a bunch of, this is a phenomena that literally just happened, and there's still no explanation of what it was, because it's not something that was man-made. It was not something that was man-made. And we see all of these crazy changes in the weather. We see the anguish, the frustration. We see how many shootings are going on in California. We see the destruction. We see the cry out from people for change, because change is needed. God is rocking and destroying our foundation because it is faulty. So here we are, chosen ones, to embrace the faultiness of this foundation so that we can let it crumble and so that we can build anew. So in Luke 21:25-28, he says, there will be signs in the sun, the moon, the stars on earth, anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. Have we not seen all of that, the roaring of the seas in California? People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is to come, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. I don't know about you guys, but it's pretty apparent out there that the heavenly bodies have shaken. At that time, they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things happen, stand and lift your head, because your redemption is drawing near. So chosen ones, it is that moment. Our redemption is drawing near. Now, the next part of this is, when he destroys our faulty foundation, it can feel like you're just being battered and battered and battered and buried and buried and buried and buried. But trust, chosen ones, that everything that grows strong was first weak. Everything that grows strong and tall was first short. Its foundation was shaken because it needs to go a little deeper. It is said, no tree may reach heaven whose roots do not stretch down to hell. I know I've shared that a lot here. It's a Carl Jung quote, but it's so fitting with everything that is occurring, because I know so many people feel like they're just being buried and buried and buried, but that tree is never going to reach heaven if the roots don't stretch down to hell. And I know right now there are many people that I've been dealing with, that I've been working with. I know in my own life, I know many people are experiencing their own rendition of hell, or have people around them who are experiencing their own rendition of hell. Now, in Luke 13:11-13, again the same numbers, 1s and 3s, behold, there is a woman with a disabling spirit for 18 years. She was bent over and she could not fully straighten herself. I know so many people who have lived their life and they have been stripped of their power. They've never really felt their power. They don't really know what their path is. They don't really know what to stand tall in. And so they just, get pushed down further and further and further. Jesus called her over and said, woman, you are free of your disability. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and she glorified God from that day on. Now, this goes on to Matthew 17 and the Transfiguration, when Jesus is talking with some of his disciples, and they hear and see God in the sky for the first time, and it turns them into believers. And Jesus tells them, be quiet, don't share about this vision yet until the Son of Man is risen from the dead. And, they don't quite understand what that means at the time. And he shares, how Elijah tried to go out and share the word, he tried to speak, but no one would listen, no one would recognize him. And while he's sharing this, a man and his son walk up to Jesus and the disciples, and they're saying, he says, your disciples could not heal my son. And Jesus said, "Oh, faithless and perverse generation." And he rebuked the demon inside of the child, and the demon came out of the child, and the child was cured from that day forward. And in disbelief, the disciples are like, what? How did you do that? And we couldn't. How come we couldn't do what you just did? And Jesus said, because of your unbelief. For assuredly I say to you, if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. However, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. So we have to make a sacrifice, chosen ones. You cannot receive the true healing. You cannot receive your true resurrection until you truly create the full sacrifice. So how many people are upset because they're not receiving, what they feel like they should be receiving? You haven't fully sacrificed something. You're still hoarding. You're still holding on to something. And that could be something as simple as your fear of your God-given gift that you're not walking in because you're staying at some deadbeat job that's just further putting you into complacency and further putting you into Satan's hands. Like, how many people, I know a lot of people hearing this right now resonate with that. It's like, you aren't fully sacrificing what you need to sacrifice to get there. And it starts, just a mustard seed of faith. I'm not saying to make some giant changes. It's not anything drastic, although sometimes it will shake up your foundation because, again, God's destroying the foundation to build a new one. He's destroying you so that you can be made stronger, so that you can be made taller. And I know that a lot of people here may not know where to go. They don't know what their next steps are in going forward, but at least you know where not to go. And that is what the message is for this holding period. If you don't know where to go, that's okay. At least you know where not to go. And so I just want people to take from this message tonight, you may not know where to go. You may not know why the foundation was rocked. Well, I'm telling you, because it was a faulty foundation. It was complacent. You weren't able to fully live your God-given gift. You weren't able to fully stand in the power that God designed you to stand in. And so that's why it had to be rocked. In that relationship, your partner doesn't really want you to thrive in the highest source of God-light energy. And if you're not, then that relationship is going to be rocked so that you can be equally yoked. And that is going to be for another message later this week. Being equally yoked is of highest importance because when we are not equally yoked, chosen ones, nothing you do will be able to come out of that pit of hell. Because if you're unequally yoked, then the ox cannot carry forward the wagon. Like it just can't carry forward. If everything is broken from being unequally yoked, that is like the bare minimum foundation. And I know so many people are in relationships right now, are in jobs, are in certain situations where they are not equally yoked. And God has to destroy your foundation so that you can actually get equally yoked first to Him through fasting and prayer and spending time, however it is for you. It can be through music, it can be through art. For so many people, it's different things. So honor that. And keep a piece of your culture and your bloodline in that too, because again, as I was saying at the beginning, Satan wants us to feel like we have to separate from things that are our natural cultural bloodline, and we don't. We can honor Christ, and we can honor God, and we can honor the way, and we can still honor our family, we can still honor our bloodline, we can still honor Mother Earth, because Mother Earth is not a demonic force. So don't even try and say that a crystal is demonic or this or that, because it's of the earth and God created the earth and everything on it. So how are you going to say that something of the earth is? It's all to create separation. It's all to create more discord. And that's exactly what's happening when we fall into these falsities and these lies. And that's what they are. These lies. Say in the comments right now, the devil is a liar. Again, please like and subscribe to this video whenever it's over on YouTube to help the channel grow and to help the message get out there. Our sacred anger is important, and from that I'm going to share Osho dynamic meditation. I know I've shared it many times. You can YouTube videos on Osho dynamic meditation, because if we do not fully get to our hearts and get to the feeling, just like Jesus's disciples, they couldn't create the healing transformation. They knew the material, but they didn't fully believe to the depth and the pit of their heart to be able to create the transformation necessary. And I know there's so many people here who read the information. They are, they go to church, they do all these things, they feel like they're living right, they're sober, and they're wondering why is the transformation not occurring that they want? Because there is still some physiological blockage between you and your heart and really getting into your heart. Osho dynamic meditation is a powerful 5-stage meditation process that puts you through all the physiological stages to really arrive there at your heart. And I just want to encourage people to go check that out because it is extremely powerful. Now, when you bottom out after God shakes and reveals all the complacency, the hiding, the fear, the sins, the hoarding, the falsities around you, the only direction he can carry you is up from there. And so this is a time to rejoice, because if you feel like your foundation is rocked, if you feel like you've been bottomed out, that's good. That's powerful, because again, you have to be bottomed out for you to fully receive him. And that's the other part here. It's like people will say like, oh, I'll sacrifice some things, but not all of it. And that's not enough. That's not enough, because it's not fully authentic. It's not getting to the root. It's not getting to the heart of the matter. You know, you stay at a certain level, but you don't go all the way to the root of the issue, then the issue is going to continuously linger. And that's what's happening in our world today. In so many relationships and so many situations, things are just lingering because we're not actually digging to the root. And so this bottoming out process that the collective is going through right now, chosen ones, is all about getting to the root so that we can really get back into the heart. So a lot of root work is going on right now, and remember that God always removes things to replace things. So if you are in a period of isolation, if you're in a period of loneliness, if you feel like you don't have a community, if you feel like you don't have someone to talk to, if you feel like you don't have this or that, I promise you it is on the way. But you also have to step out of your complacency. You have to step out of your hiding. You have to step out of your fear, because all of those things are sin. And when you're living in those areas, then you won't be able to transform to the other side, because you're keeping yourself there by choice. So you have to make the choice to bravely step out. You have to make the choice to allow yourself to rise up from this place. Now, the last thing I want to say is Isaiah 46:4. He said, I have made you, I will carry you, I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. I have made you, I will carry you, I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. So this is the other part of humanity, is feeling like the whole weight of the world is on our shoulders. And the beautiful thing is, chosen ones, when you let yourself go to the full sacrifice of bottoming out, when you really let yourself get totally empty, then that is truly when he can work through you. And when he's working through you, nothing is heavy ever again. You become light as a feather, and rising from that depth, from the pits of hell, from your complacency, from your stuck place, from your stuck relationship, from your stuck job, rising from it just becomes effortless. And it happens with ease, because you're no longer trying to do something, but you're able to fully bottom yourself out and give it to him, give it back to God, give it back to Christ to step you back on the way. All right, I love you guys, and if you'd like a personal reading, hit me up.